franchise that is the crux of why we are fans. The rich, amazing history of a team that reflects the attitude of this town's people and embodies the spirit of everyone sitting in these seats. But when we step back and look, there is one thing that from Philadelphia to Wilmington, from Haverford to Pennsauken, from Westchester to Allentown, cuts through it all and bonds us, every one of us. Every fall, it is the Eagles green that runs through the veins of the young and old, and the divides that exist between races and creeds, rich and poor, the 700 level and the lower bowl are all gone, and we are suddenly one.
And welcome to another episode of Aatbirds Fandemonium. We are privileged to have Prime from 4th and John. A lot of you guys know him from what he wears, and I know that's one thing a big proponent of you. And as we can see right there, it shows you have all different colors, there's all different things. Welcome to episode 10 of Aatbirds Fandemonium. It is a Deshaun Jackson episode. We like to kind of throw some we had Nick Foles episode, we've had all those. But the one question I want to start out with you is, how did you become wearing, the mask and all the different colors? How did that start?
Well, I'm an 80s kid. Transformers was one of my biggest cartoons back in the day. I used to look forward to getting up on Saturday mornings and catching Optimus Prime, and all the Autobots and Decepticons. It was just one of my favorite cartoons. And then, my love for the Eagles. The story pretty much started with me being at a flea market one day, and I saw this Optimus Prime helmet just sitting there. And I'm like, wow, I've never actually seen one before. So I couldn't, let the opportunity pass me by. So I grabbed it. I have a friend who does some airbrushing, and I decided to go ahead and drop the mask off to him. And I told him, hey, listen, my love for the Eagles, and this is one of my favorite cartoons from back in the day. I'm gonna leave this in your hands, and let's just go ahead and rock out with it. Go ahead and make a collaboration of the two for me. And he did exactly that. He went all out and painted it, threw a couple Eagles wings on there, and pretty much the rest was history. So I started wearing these things to Eagles games. In the beginning, it was just like, what the hell am I doing? I'm wearing this big ass helmet to the games. Like, what's the meaning to it? But then it started catching on. I show up way before I became a member of 4th and John at a 4th and John tailgate. And, I introduced myself to Gail and E-Rock at the time. And we started talking, we started clicking pretty much that very first day we met. After that, Gail and E just started calling me Prime, and it clicked. So I was like, okay, this is, I like this. So it was just something that I just stuck with. And, since that day on, it's just been my thing. And then it just blew up. A lot of the followers and the fans, made the whole Prime thing happen. So that's pretty much the whole story behind everything.
And, it's a well-known, and because, for me on Twitter and stuff, and there's Eagles Twitter can be crazy, can be hectic. We all know that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people stand out for certain things that they either do or how they look in terms of their fandom. And this is one big reason why we do this show. My other co-host partner, Chip, him and I doing this show, talking to Eagles fans and just getting, memories and everything like that. And we're going to start that, but I had to get that out of the way, because I know it's a big thing when everyone's going to see the pictures, and that's going to be their first question is why.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get that out of the way first. The first question is your first Eagles memory that you can remember.
First Eagles memory was pretty much my first Eagles game ever. Those guys rocked out hard at the vet throughout my childhood. it wasn't easy to convincing my father to take me to an Eagles game. He was only, privileged to taking me to a Phillies game. And that was the only time I would go to the vet was for a Phillies game or for a random circus that was being thrown at the vet or one of those monster truck events. But I never got the privilege of an Eagles game. And the reason why is because my father was old school. He was not about the crowd. He was not about the rowdiness. He didn't want no part of that. I probably asked my mom a couple of times, "Hey, can we go to an Eagles game?" And she looked at me like I was crazy. So it never happened. So 1995, it was the Detroit Eagles wild card game at the vet. I think it was like December. And my cousin, who I give all the credit to on reason why I became such a big Eagles fan, invited me. And I tagged along with him and we went. It was, my first time at the vet to see the Eagles play, not the Phillies or anything else. It was to see the Eagles play. So it was just like me in Kittyland. Like I was surrounded by all Eagles green. This is something that I've been waiting for my whole life, and I finally made it happen. It was probably one of the greatest games I've seen. I mean, it wasn't like one of the greatest teams we had, but those guys did their thing that day. Rodney Peete was the quarterback. We had Ricky Waters. We had Willie T as the linebacker. We had some key guys on the squad. And it was a blowout. I think I remember it was like, I think they went past 50. And I mean, these guys were scoring. We thought they were probably going to hit 70 that night, but they eventually slowed down in that second half. So that was probably one of my biggest memories that I will always cherish. Being able to go ahead and attend my first Eagles game and be in a playoff game, wildcard playoff game.
So with that as your first memory, now we're going to, transition into your favorite Eagles memory. And now the way that I always pose this question, I'm kind of excluding the Super Bowl because that's such a big memory for a lot of fans. Eagles' first Super Bowl, getting there, achieving that, the top of the mountain, top of the hill. I don't want to do that one. I want to kind of do something else. So your favorite Eagles memory, non-Super Bowl related.
Favorite Eagles memory is probably attending a first Eagles Dallas game.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it was. You know what? I'm not going to say it was my first. It was an Eagles Dallas game, but it was against T.O. I was in the building that day, and the way those guys played, the way they racked up points that night, they blew them out. It was just everything came together, and it all got thrown back into T.O.'s face that night.
Was that the 44-6 game in 08?
Yeah, 44-6 game. It was definitely a blowout. If you don't know by now from all the times that we had the shows, and I mentioned, and I always give my brother love. My brother's a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Ooh.
So yeah, he got dropped a few times when he was a baby. But yeah, we went to the game together. He got ridiculed throughout the game, but it was a great time. We always have a great time when we're there. And that blowout was sealed the deal. It was just like walking out of that stadium. I think I remember clearly, man. Like I got so wild. It was cold, and I just started taking off my shirt, and I just started like I was just so amped up on the way those guys played that day. So I'm gonna go ahead and check that one off as another memory.
I like that. And a lot of my family is from the Jersey area, New Jersey, and all that stuff. So a lot of Giants fans in my family. Not many Eagles fans, if really any. I'm kind of maybe the only one of a small minority there. So
I get it. It's cool.
Yeah, I get it. But like I'm always gonna say, there's nothing like being an Eagles fan.
Nothing like being it.
So with that, I'm gonna ask you your favorite Eagle and why.
Everybody's going to be quick to go ahead and say Brian Dawkins.
You're right there because we've had a number of guests say, you know what, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go
I want to go ahead and exclude him from this list. He is, you know what I mean? But if there's somebody else that I always had love for, uh, was before him, and that was Andre Waters. 1990. I love me Andre Waters. Andre Waters, I love watching that dude play. He had this thing for Emmitt Smith, and he wouldn't even be playing the Cowboys that week. You know, he only plays them twice a year, but he acted like he played Emmitt Smith on a weekly basis. Like, it was crazy. The man had Emmitt's name taped on his forehead every game. And like, I really didn't know the whole story behind it. As I got older and older, and then I would look into it to find out why he hated this guy so much. And it was just the thing that he had. But I used to watch loving him play. As years went on, if there was anybody else that I used to love watching play, and that was Willie T. The guy had like he had these shoulders on him that was just like ridiculous. And then I actually had the privilege of meeting William Thomas the day of that first Eagles game that I showed up to at the vet. Um, it was so easy to sneak down to the tunnel back in the day to meet the players. So we ended up doing that, got by a couple of security guards and everything, ended up getting all the way to the bottom. And then here comes Willie T, like one of the first players to leave the locker room. And he came and gave me a high five. And I looked at my hand for a minute, like, yo, Willie T just smacked my hand. Like, it was just a moment for me. But yeah, those are two key guys, before the Brian Dalton days.
Yeah, a wonderful linebacker, like do it all type of linebacker. Yeah. How times have changed a little bit, but
Yeah.
no, those are two great ones. And I know you're talking about Andre Waters and everything like that. The 1991 Eagles defense was, if not one of the greatest defenses of all time, and star-studded throughout the whole board. And Eagles had other great defenses with Jim Johnson, the late Jim Johnson. What they did in the 2000s and what they had, but I think younger fans, don't know like the early Jim Johnson days, and then into the Bud Carson days, and even late Buddy Ryan days and everything. But that was Eagles football, is the
Yes, it was.
defense.
Yes, it was.
And I think people just think about offense all the time, but there's nothing like having a team with a defense that'll punch you in the mouth.
Yeah. I mean, it's scary just to even think about the players that we have in today's defense. And, I miss Jimmy Johnson with all my heart, man. I love that man.
Yeah.
Had he been here still with the guys that we got right now, I think it would have been like a tremendous difference on, how things are being handled right now. So I miss that guy to death.
No doubt. Absolutely no doubt. Now, I want to bring this up. So I'm going to hop into here, and I want to go back to this. And let me see here. So this picture right here, I would think, I don't know, is this when you're watching a Super Bowl? Because it kind of looks.
Actually, no, this was the year my son was born. This was after the Super Bowl. This was
Okay.
Yeah, this was the pandemic year.
Oh.
Yeah. We couldn't go to any games. We couldn't do anything. So I moved into the house that I'm living in now, and one of the first projects that I promised myself was to go ahead and get this man cave. So as you can see behind me, I got this man cave, like all prepped out, all designed with Eagle stuff. This is the Eagles man cave down here. And that was one of my biggest achievement, was to go ahead and get this ready because of the fact that there wasn't going to be no live football for me that year. That picture you see of me and my son, he was just born, and it was just a privilege to go ahead and sit there with my little man and watch some Eagles football. It was the first game of the season. Yeah, it was pretty much the opening of the man cave. We got it in. We were able to go ahead and enjoy it, and he sat there. So that was definitely a moment for me. And then the following years, when they kind of, the pandemic kind of slowed down a little bit and opened up, and we had the privilege to be at the open practice, and I took my son to that one, and that's the picture you see with me and him out on the field before the practice actually started. So I mean, it's just the beginning of the world I'm trying to bring him into. I mean, he just doesn't know what's coming his way as he gets older and older. You know, the type of Eagles fandemonium I'm going to go ahead and have with this kid. So
No, that's awesome, and that's great to be able to, uh, have your child, your son, be able to bring him up and to be able to, watch games with him, enjoy that aspect, of his childhood and of your adulthood to be able to see that. I just had a child. Tommy. He's 3 months old. So
congrats.
thank
That's
you.
what's
So
up.
it's not, but again, he doesn't know what's in store for him. It's,
Right, 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 right. And
it's either,
not for nothing. I mean, I have two other ones. I have a daughter who's 21. Yeah, I'm up there, and I have and I started all over again with the two I have right now. I have a 5-year-old, my 5-year-old daughter, and then my son who just turned 2. So yeah, she's a big Eagles fan. She gets it a lot just as well. She's down here. She's chilling with me. Actually, she had the privilege of getting that Super Bowl the year she was born. So, I mean, she's one that could go ahead and brag about actually having a Super Bowl in her lifetime.
no, I have a 6-year-old daughter. She was 2 years old watching the Super Bowl.
There
So,
you go. All right.
almost 2 years old, watching the Super Bowl. Now she doesn't really remember too much, but again, she knows with the Eagles, all that,
Yeah.
it's, it's great to be able to bring up family and, have it as a type of family aspect. That's what the Eagles are. And with that kind of goes into, this final question here is, what about the Philadelphia Eagles that make them the best team slash fan base in all of football?
Man, this is like I always get a little bit touchy when it comes to talking about this. The Eagles mean so much to me. The fight that we have as fans, the fight that the Eagles have in themselves. But it pretty much goes with all Philly teams. But we're here talking about the Eagles. How much the fan being around that fan base on a Sunday, it's just like forget about everything else. We're there having a great time. We're there sharing moments with each other. Um, if you're having a bad week, you get together with your Eagles family, and it's like you forget about all that stuff. When we won that Super Bowl, uh, it brought everybody together. Just having that feeling on how everybody came together, celebrated, showed love to one another. It meant so much. It also meant so much because it was just like you had so many family members during the time we were trying to get a Super Bowl who had passed away and stuff. And then when
Mhm.
that Super Bowl came, it was just like those were the first ones on your mind that night. Like this was for my aunt or this was for my uncle. Um, I shared the Super Bowl moment with my father. I lost my father last January,
Okay.
and it was a moment for me because he was in the same house with me watching that Super Bowl. He saw me celebrate. He saw how excited I got. And to this day, as I watch some of that video, it's like I see my dad in the background, like looking at me, focusing on me, on how much happiness he saw in me that night. I was crying. I was too excited. I was all over the place. I was running up and down that street. It was just one of the greatest moments. So it's just all about how this team brings this fan base together. And I don't know. I can't think of anything else better to explain it on, what they do for us.
No, I think you explained it great because you're looking at that Sunday, and a lot of it is, people as fans, they put so much into the team, and it's not them playing, but it's just their fandom and it's just like the players on the field. I think a lot of the players are starting to get it. You would think, they put their sweat and tears into this game to try and to win and stuff, but there's times where, as a young kid, my buddy and his dad, you knew if the Eagles lost, you wouldn't really be able to talk to them until probably Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
You know, their week was just about, it was about that Eagles game on Sunday going into that week. If they win, especially with me as a young kid going into school that Monday, putting your jersey on to wear because the team won, and you get to that, yeah, look, my team won.
Yeah.
And you're all happy throughout the week. They lose, you're not too happy. And again, it comes with that. You're just, you live and die on that Sunday watching the Eagles, and it's gonna reflect on your week.
Yeah.
You don't want it to, but it's just that's what it is, and that's how involved Eagles fans are. And I think you can pinpoint. I know you've been to other cities, and a couple guests that we had on. I know Gail's mentioned it too. You go to other cities around, and the Eagles are absolutely by far a different fan base when you look at other cities around the NFL, and the way that they are fans. You look at all the Eagles fans that travel because they love the team so much, and it's ingrained in them. The Eagles are ingrained in them.
Yes,
That green that they bleed, no matter what shade it is, whether it's Kelly green, whether it's midnight green, it comes out. And I think that's one way I like to put it.
Yeah, and it's just like the introduction to the segment, man. It's in our veins. I'm one to go ahead and tell you that when we traveled, it was just like, it was great to see the amount of people that showed up at those other stadiums, man. It was just like you felt at home regardless. And we've even had visiting teams, fans tell us like, yo, when you guys travel, and they've never seen a fan base the way they've seen the Philadelphia Eagles. So when you hear that, it's just like, yeah, we represent it to the fullest. We accomplished something that we try to accomplish when we're traveling all the time. When me and Gail are on the road, and when we have Evan with us, we're always talking about that. We're going to go and we're going to rep to the fullest. And we always get like a text or somebody giving us a call on the way to that visiting team's state or stadium. And they'd be like, look, we can't be there, but we know when you guys are there, you guys will represent to the fullest. And that's exactly what we do every time we go.
No, and that's great. Absolutely great. And like I said, I want to thank you again for being on episode 10 of AAT Birds Fandemonium. And the way we always end every show is with a very good and happy Go Birds.
Go Birds.